Hey, it's Jason from Bohemia Bees. We're in the honey processing room today. It's still windy and cool out. The weather's probably about a little over 55 degrees here on the eastern shore of Maryland. And we're working with some clients' honey that we harvested about a couple weeks back. And we're going to be working with a piece of equipment that I wanted to share with you that is very unique to the honey processing equipment that you see in the traditional magazines and such. Most people are familiar with extractors, you know, the hand cranker, powered extractors to extract the honey. Others also have different types of uncapping tanks. And here at Bohemia Apiary, we made a pretty big investment into a company here in the United States that makes quality honey processing equipment. And there's several videos. I'll put links here in the description below that you can click on them and check them out. But we've done videos on the MAXANT Mutt. We've done a video on the MAXANT honey bottling tank, and we've done it also on the extractor. But we've gotten two new pieces of equipment that we'll do some future videos about. One being a clarifier, and really what is a clarifier? It's really just for helping to process honey and screen that honey to get the big particulates out of it and give that nice, crisp, clean bottle of honey that you can put on your store shelves or sell to your friends and family. We also are planning on doing a video on, we got a honey pump as well. So we're going to talk about that as well and unboxing for that. So look for those videos. But right now I want to show you a piece of equipment that most people can't get. This piece of equipment caught my eye a couple years ago when my mentor showed me a piece of equipment he was testing for MAXANT. And they actually did a really interesting build. And let's take a look at that piece of equipment. I'll tell you what it is. All right, so this is called, for lack of a better choice of terms, it is really just a honey processing station, or really you can process wax. You can do a couple things with this, uncap potentially. And that's why I think when talking to Jake over at MAXANT, this is why he calls this the bastard. This particular piece of equipment is not made in any commercial form yet through MAXANT. It's not sold to the broader audiences. Again, my mentor showed me his that he was testing, and I loved it so much that I tried to buy it off of him years back, and he said no, he wasn't willing to part with it. He uses it, and I can see why, and I'll tell you in a minute. But I can tell you that this thing is pretty neat the way it's designed. It does have some downfalls, but we'll talk about that as well. And I know Jake over at MAXANT, when I talked to him, he said that he did have a second one, and this is how I got my hands on this one actually. When I was making a purchase for some other things that I needed from MAXANT, I said, you wouldn't happen to have any of those kind of unique honey processing stations that my buddy Ronnie had? And he said that he did. So, you know, he had one left. He wasn't planning on making any more right now. Maybe in the future he will. And let's see what this really is and what does it do, right? So if you come look at this, it's on a stand, heavy duty stand with 4 wheels. And naturally I propped those wheels up on the back on a board just so it had a little bit more of an angle, which you don't have to do that, but I did it because I thought it made sense. It's jacketed all the way around. So you can see it's almost like two jacketed tanks all the way around. And the inner tank on the top is really designed so that you can take that honey that you've had in that 5-gallon bucket, right? That maybe is partially crystallized, or maybe you warmed it up with a heat blanket, and you dump it in the top of this tank up at the top. And you can see, so there's some wax particulates and things like that, and some settling that had occurred on the bucket when I poured it in here. And it's in the process of flowing down through this first baffle. Now this baffle is removable or it's adjustable, so it can flow differently. But as it goes through a baffle, the purpose of a baffle is so that as the particulates float to the surface, the honey flows under the baffle and into the clean side. So that first round of baffling does a really good job actually of pulling out majority of the dead bees and bee parts and, you know, pieces of potentially, you know, wax and particulate. But then after it sits in here, and this is jacketed up top too. So the top jacket will warm the top tank as well as the bottom tank. The full jacket surrounds both the tanks. This tank that's nested in here will come out, and you can have this an open valve that you can then put your honey in here, and it's dribbling down through, as you can see. It's warmed up now, so it's very liquid. I'd had this thing heated up. They've got 2 tank heaters, one and 2, one's only plugged in, so it's definitely warming up the tank temperature, and it's now flowing into the basket that you see here. And that basket is what's actually filtering it through a micron filter, getting the remaining pieces out. Probably not necessary. You can just use the screen basket if you so choose. And then it'll go down, drip to the bottom. And this other baffle, I'm probably gonna lift up because it is taking a little time to flow through. It's probably unnecessary, but it's nice to see what the baffle is at. It has a temperature gauge in the front that measures both the honey as well as the inner jacketed tank. It gives you a sense as to how much the temperature is at. So it's, again, right now we're sitting at about 80 degrees in the tank, which is good. That's where you want it at. You don't want it too hot. You don't want to heat up or pasteurize the honey. You want it to remain raw. You just want it to be able to flow nice and smooth. It's got their famous no drip valve on the front that MAXANT makes. That thing is amazing. We have it over here on our bottling tank, and we also now have one on here. The one good thing about MAXANT is that they're made in the USA, as you can see. It's a family-owned business, and they do make quality products. I mean, I know that some people have a preference towards other products and other brands within the space of honey processing, but I really like that fact that it was made in the U.S. and that it was, naturally a good quality. And they stand behind their product. They build these things to last for a lifetime, as it says in their logo. They definitely do. It's got your gauge, your water gauge, so you can see how much water is in the jacketed tank. Again, it's a very versatile piece. I mean, you could use this for a honey processing or a wax processing tank if you so choose in some capacity. You could use it for somewhat of a pseudo uncapping tank, but it's real nice to have if you just have an extractor and you have this, and it's kind of doubles sort of as a bottling tank too, because as that drains down here, it's going to warm up and fill that bottom reservoir with honey that you can then begin to bottle and go from there. So there you have it, folks. That was the Bastard by MAXANT. Again, Jake will probably kill me for putting this video out there because he's going to get a flood of calls, I'm sure. It's definitely a piece of versatile equipment that most people haven't seen really in the space. And naturally, I'm going to get his permission to publish this. So I was kind of sort of joking. But I'm sure if you reach out to Jake and let him know your interest, he probably will consider building more of these. But I can tell you none of them exist other than this one and my buddy Ronnie's that has one as well. So there's only really 2 that I know of that's in existence. But maybe, hey, give Jake a call, give MAXANT a call, tell him, hey, I saw the Bastard at Bohemia Apiary on YouTube. And I really am interested in seeing how long it would take to get one of those made for you. So can't guarantee that. But I can tell you that it's definitely a unique piece of machinery or equipment that I'm going to be using here at Bohemia Apiary quite often for those customer orders of smaller batches of honey that I'm processing instead of doing a bunch of supers, but just a couple processes, 5-10 gallon buckets, things like that. So it's really nice. So I do appreciate you tuning in. Definitely continue to subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, anything that you may follow on social media. We love to hear the feedback, positive feedback, please. If you're going to comment in any of those social media platforms, make it positive. I love feedback, but I don't like when someone gets pretty rude and makes some comments that are just not applicable or helpful for the community. So let's make some positive comments and subscribe to the channels that we have and continue to look for new videos here at Bohemia Apiary. Check us out online, get some of our merch, right? We have a lot of merch, hats, t-shirts. We have some pretty cool t-shirts that are unique to us that we made for the beekeeping community if you're interested. Or get a bottle of honey, right? We can send it, ship it anywhere in the United States. Those are our boxes back there that we had another video or picture about. We ship honey to pretty much in the United States. But thanks for watching, everyone, here at Bohemia Apiary, where beekeeping is definitely more than a hobby. You know what? It's an obsession. Thanks a lot.